ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my weekly show called the Big 12 Matchups and Then Some. This is when I'll pick 10 college football games against the spread, Big 12 games plus games, college football in general, and I'll go against the almighty penny. You'll see that in just a little bit. But first, have a commentary about the Big 12 Conference, and currently I have a ton of doubts about this conference. Here we are, late September, about a third of the way through the season, and I am just as uncertain about the Big 12 as I was a month ago for all the contenders. First of all, for Oklahoma. Yes, the Sooners are 4-0. Yes, they're ranked in the top 10. But 3 of their victories, they were heavy favorites in, and in all 3 games, the Sooners win by a touchdown or less. The defense is one of the worst in the country, especially against the run. You can't rely on luck, Oklahoma, forever, okay? We'll find out against Texas if Oklahoma has improved in the defensive category. Of course, for more on my take about Oklahoma, make sure to check out my OU pregame, the weekly matchup show of OU versus Texas. Is posted on this same page, either YouTube or Facebook. But Oklahoma isn't the only team that has to be scratching their heads right now. Of course, Texas, the Longhorns, after getting pasted at home unexpectedly by UCLA, the same team that lost to Kansas State a few weeks ago, unranked Kansas State. Texas's offense has been woeful. The defense had been pretty good up until that game against UCLA, in which they gave up over 260 yards on the ground. Granted, you don't play with Colt McCoy, you don't play with Jordan Shipley or Sergio Kendall or Lamar Houston or Earl Thomas forever, but still, you would have expected a better showing for Texas than that bad exhibition that they showed against UCLA this past Saturday. Defense has been good for Texas, but the offense has struggled, to say the very least. And then Nebraska. Thought maybe Nebraska had everything together after their big win at Washington a couple of weeks ago. And then we saw this past week, Nebraska's mortal as well. Struggling against South Dakota State from Division I AA, not just a Division I AA school, but a winless Division I AA school, an FCS school. Nebraska only scores 2 touchdowns in the game and wins 17-3. A letdown, maybe, but still, even with the letdown, the game shouldn't be that close when you're playing the Jackrabbits. So Nebraska has things to worry about, and Taylor Martinez, as good as he's been for Nebraska at quarterback, Nebraska fans would be the first to tell you that eventually he's going to have to throw in order for Nebraska to beat the really caliber competition. It can't just come from him running. Teams like the Texases, who still have a good defense, plus other teams, are going to figure that out, and Martinez will have to resort to throwing. And if he can't throw accurately, then Nebraska is going to be in some trouble in that capacity. Now, we mentioned Oklahoma, Texas, and Nebraska, the big 3 right now of the Big 12, and this is the final year that the Big 12 will have 12 teams. Those are still the 3 teams to beat, but you get the feeling, and I know what Kansas State, Oklahoma State, A&M, and Missouri fans are telling me, what about us? Well, those teams I mentioned have doubts too. For example, Missouri, yes, they are undefeated right now, but no Derek Washington because of his stupidity off the field, so you lost your best running back. Missouri's had issues with injuries on the defensive side, and they were very fortunate a couple of weeks ago to defeat San Diego State, trailing late, getting that long touchdown pass to eke it out. So even Missouri has had a game or two where they were fortunate to win. Same thing for Texas A&M, down 20-6 entering the 4th quarter against a woeful Florida International team, but A&M rallies with 21 4th quarter points to win. And Gerard Johnson did not look sharp in that particular game either. So A&M's undefeated, but they are still unproven. Oklahoma State, offenses look good for Dana Holgorsen, the offensive coordinator for the Pokes. But remember the second game of the year, they were fortunate to have gotten out with a victory against lowly Troy from the Sun Belt Conference. Huge favorites Oklahoma State was that game, but they narrowly escaped the Trojans of Troy. And then you have Kansas State. Yes, they beat UCLA early in the season, but K-State, as I mentioned, is still too one-dimensional. You have Daniel Thomas, the terrific running back, but that's all you have. The quarterback is awful. The passing game isn't there, and eventually that is going to bite the Wildcats. So for people who think that the middle tier is caught up with the upper echelon of the Big 12, as one guy from ESPN might say, not so fast, my friend. The Big 12, they're not as good as the SEC. I don't even think they're as good as the Pac-10 right now. They may not even be as good as the Big 10. The Big 12 has dropped a little bit, but the middle tier of the Big 12 is not caught up yet with the upper tier. So that I want to get off my chest. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the matchups for this week. Time for the picks. Boy, did I take one on the chin this past week. My first losing week of the season, going 4-6. The coin, by the way, average went 5-5, and boy, I'd give anything to go 5-5 after that train wreck I had this past week. So overall standings, I still lead, but by only 2 games, as the coin makes up a game after my struggles a week ago. Let's hope for a better week this time. Okay, we are ready. We're ready for another week of picks. Remember, the coin lands on heads. The coin likes the favorite. If it lands on tails, it likes the underdog. Remember that. Okay, Thursday night, got Oklahoma State at home against Texas A&M. Should be a high-scoring game at T-Boone Pickens Stadium in front of a national audience. The crowd, the offense for Oklahoma State, too much in this one. Oklahoma State to cover the 3 points, while the old coin likes Texas A&M. Let's go to Saturday. Baylor at home against Kansas. The Bears giving 9 points. That's too many points at home for Baylor. I think Baylor wins, but I don't think they cover. So Kansas plus the 9 for me, while the coin likes Baylor. Texas Tech giving 7 at Ames, Iowa. The Iowa State Cyclones, granted they aren't the bad Iowa State Cyclones that we've seen in years past, but at home, 7 points for Texas Tech. I think the Red Raiders can cover in this one. I like Texas Tech minus the 7, while the coin likes Iowa State. Then you have Georgia at Colorado, 2 so-so teams, but Georgia still has more talent than Colorado. Georgia from the SEC, I like them to win minus the 5, while the coin is going to take Colorado. Woo! Disagreements like crazy. You have Iowa at home against Penn State. I know Iowa has had struggles against the Nittany Lions, losing to them each of the last 2 years. However, freshman quarterback this time for Penn State, that Iowa City environment is going to be too much for him to handle. Iowa to cover the 7, while the coin likes Penn State. Man. Miami giving 3.5 at Clemson. Miami coming off a road victory over Pitt on national television, but Clemson's going to be a tougher battle than Pittsburgh. So I think Clemson will cover those 3.5. So give me the Tigers plus the 3.5. The coin likes Miami. Wisconsin's at Michigan State, one of the better matchups of the week. Wisconsin only giving 2. I think Wisconsin's ground game will be too much in this game. Plus Michigan State, by the way, the next week has to go to Michigan and face Denard Robinson. So Michigan State's going to have more on their mind than Wisconsin will. Give me Wisconsin minus the 2, while the coin likes Wisconsin as well. Virginia Tech is the favorite in this one, giving 4 points at North Carolina State. Virginia Tech might be a little more talented, but North Carolina State's playing better. Plus, they're playing the game in Raleigh. So North Carolina State to cover the 4. So NC State plus the 4. The coin likes NC State as well. Stanford at Oregon. Top 10 matchup between the up-and-coming Cardinal. But this time it's going to be too much because they have to play the game in Eugene, Oregon, one of the toughest places to play in the country. Oregon, I like them to win minus the 7, while the coin likes Oregon too. And then you have a battle between the last 2 national champions, Florida at Alabama. Alabama, I know it's going to be easy for them to maybe have a letdown after the win at Arkansas, but all they have to remember is who they're playing this week, and that's the Gators. Florida has looked okay this year, but not great. I look for Alabama to cover the 8 points in this one in front of a national TV audience in prime time. So give me Alabama minus the 8 points, while the coin is going to take the 8 points and go with Florida. those are my picks for this week. We'll go over them again next week when you join me next time for another edition of the Big 12 matchups and then some.